Your future life shall be a series of trials, one after the other, until you attain the glory that is your due at the side of the Emperor. You shall face the hardest first, so that we know we are not wasting our time. The Celestial Lions are a successor chapter of the Adeptus Astartes, serving during the era Indomitus. Descended from the Imperial Fifth Legion, the Sons of Rogel Dawn would be founded during the 38th millennium, suspected to be of the 23rd Sentinel founding. Fighting alongside the Emperor's Spears and Star Scorpions chapters as part of the Adeptus Valeri, the so-called Sentinels of the Veil would defend the region of space known as Ilara's Veil. Serving with distinction as a noble and stoic chapter for 4,000 Terran Standard years, the Lions would regardless suffer terrible misfortune during 948.M41 when assaulting the world of Qatar. A world pledged to the ecclesiarchy, the priesthood of Qatar would be enthralled by the ruinous powers and pledge their worship to the Prince of Pleasure, Slaanesh. Inquisitor Apollyon would petition reinforcement from the Celestial Lions, led by Captain Saul, to purge the rebellion upon the surface of Qatar. Crushing all heretics in their wake, the Celestial Lions, whilst attempting to depart from the surface, would be orbitally bombarded by the guns of the Inquisition. Believing the rot to have set in too deep, Apollyon would be denounced by the chapter, yet seek reprisal for his reprimand. During the Third War for Armageddon, the Celestial Lions would commit its entire chapter strength to aid in the defense of High Volcanus. Suffering catastrophic casualties during their months of battle, the intel reports forwarded to the chapter would prove incredibly inaccurate in forecasting the strength of their opposition and their capabilities. Ambushed continuously during the war, the chapter would lose countless Thunderhawk transports and void ships due to corrupted orders. Suspecting intentional sabotage of their maneuvers, the command staff of the chapter would nonetheless endure their misfortune. Losing 4 companies in their entirety during their ambush at the Mannheim Gap at the hands of several Gargants and Razor Speed Freaks, led by the Orc warlord, Fogfang. The Celestial Lions would incur losses never before suffered by their forebears. Attacking the base camp of the Lions, the Greenskins would slay untold Astartes with Warlord Fogfang, killing and consuming Captain Valorak as a last act of defilement. Targeting the apothecaries of the chapter, all hope of recovering the gene seed of the Fallen would be hopeless. Yet Orcs are not known for utilizing long-range marksmanship, and thus further suspicion would be evidence of foul play. Evidence of scorch marks made by long las rounds would penetrate the eye lenses of chapter officers' helmets as the surviving 96 Astartes of the Lions escaped the devastation of their ranks. The final apothecary of the chapter would be found hours following their escape, a las round burned through his temple as his carcass slumped against a rhino transport. Assisted by the Reclusiarch of the Black Templars chapter, Merrick Grimaldus, following a petition for aid from the Death Speaker, Julkara, Grimaldus would seek answers for the unnerving hastened depletion of his kindred chapter. With order from High Marshal Helbrecht, Grimaldus would investigate the circumstance of the Celestial Lions and meet with their survivors within Hive Volcanus. Swearing to die as a last act of pride for their ravaged chapter, the Celestial Lions under the command of Prime Leader Ekeni Dubaku would resolve to extinguish the last spark of their proud chapter in a blaze of glory. From such a suicidal action, Grimaldus would marshal the remaining defenders of Hive Hellsreach in the wake of his legend as the hero of Hellsreach to aid the Celestial Lions and march to slay the Orc Warboss. Believing such an act would inspire his cousin chapter to rebuild their might once more. I am returning on the war world. Someone must fight alongside the Lions, saving them from futile glory and the worst excesses of their otherwise pure blood. The Lions have no chaplains remaining, and they are our cousins. Honor and brotherhood demand this of me. The Lions cannot call upon the resources of their hive city, but they will not fight alone. Let Volcanus hide behind its walls. Hellsreach is going to war. Losing many of the survivors of the Celestial Lions during the engagement, the Sons of Dawn would nonetheless prove worthy of achieving victory, and with the death of War Boss Fogfang, the chapter's honorable heroes would be avenged. High Marshal Helbrecht would demand that Akene Dubaku must assume the oath and mantle of Chapter Master of the Celestial Lions and grant him a suit of ancient artificer armor from the Black Templar's armory, bearing the heraldry of the Imperial Fist Legion. Departing to their homeworld aboard the strike cruiser gifted by the Black Templars, Blade of the Seventh Sun, the Celestial Lions would, with the aid of a detachment of the Templars, begin to rebuild their chapter. Upon their homeworld of Elysium 1, whilst rebuilding the chapter's might, Ilara's Vale would be invaded by the Chaos Warband known as the Exilarchy, led by the remnants of the Chaos-corrupted chapter, once known as the Star Scorpions. Preemptively evacuating the populace of their doomed homeworld, Akene Dubaku would beseech the chapter master of the Emperor's Spears, Arokatus, to rehome his people on their homeworld of Nemeton. Once more hounded by the Inquisition, Dubaku would be slain by a Khalidus assassin aboard the starship Hex. The vendetta between the Lions and the Inquisition remaining to this day. Due to their near extinction fighting the Greenskins of Armageddon, the Celestial Lions reserve a special hatred for the Orc Xenos. Regarding them as kine, or cattle, by their native tongue, the Lions honor the glories won by their fallen brothers by regaling their men with stories of their battles against impossible odds against the Greenskin Tide. Prideful and principled in their morals, it is no wonder that their hatred and contempt for Inquisitional agents remain strong to this day. Embracing the conventions of the Codex Astartes, though adherent to many of its principles, the chapter regardless does stray from some of its advisements. Tactical designations of their senior officers are unique among their chapter and reflect the cultural trappings of their homeworld. Captains are known as war leaders and are designated by wearing black helmets. Chaplains are known as deaf speakers, with their librarians regarded as spirit walkers, and apothecaries named life binders. Companies are known as prides, with each led by their equivalent of sergeants, or pride leaders. Clad in golden armor, with azure blue pauldrons and helmets, the Celestial Lions mark their squad roll upon their right shoulder guard with a black Gothic numeral centered upon its design to indicate their company number. Organizing and mixing flexible combined arms to create well-balanced battle groups to combat any threat, the Celestial Lions are swift in their attack to better overwhelm their disorganized opponents. Bearing their chapter icon with pride on their left pauldron, a roaring white lion head upon a field of azure blue, the most senior ranked Astartes of the chapter adopt a gold variation to denote their superiority. Though due to their severely depleted numbers, few veterans remain, and the survivability of the chapter seems destined to fail. Yet for each dawn brought to the Lions of the Vale, they shall not relent in facing the opponents of the Imperium, no matter the cost, and no matter the danger.